Hello and welcome to the Easy Runner training video on creating a new campaign. Purpose of this video is just we're going to run through and create a generic campaign just to give you a bit of a feel on how the module works. So the first thing I do is I come up along my top menu here and I click on campaigns and I click on campaign wizard. That opens up this screen here, which is the beginning of the wizard, which is going to take us through building our campaign. At the moment, I've never sent a campaign through this database, so if I click on amend an existing campaign, you'll see here I don't have any options. Now what I can do, once you start building your campaigns, I can resend a campaign with maybe just a few little tweaks, so I don't have to start the whole process from the beginning. So for example, if I've done a July newsletter, I can change this, I can change it slightly and do an August newsletter with just a few small tweaks, as opposed to starting the whole process again. But we'll click on the top option there, we'll do a brand new campaign. So I'm going to click there and I'm going to click on next, and then that moves me on. So my first thing I need to do is I need to give my campaign a name, and I think we'll go with August newsletter. Name of the campaign really just helps me pick it out in my reporting and stuff. What I can do is I can put a different little bit more of a description here with the aim of my campaign. So I could say August newsletter sent to all live members, for example. I then need to choose my campaign duration. So what I can do here, if I'm doing a newsletter, which I am, I can just have a duration of 1 day. What I can do, if my campaign is going to run over a week or two, I can change this. So an example of that, maybe we want to do a 12 days of Christmas campaign, in which case I'd put 12 there. Other kind of campaigns you can do in Easy Runner are campaigns that run every day or once a month or once a week. We call those continuous campaigns. And if I'm doing a campaign like that, I can tick this box here, and the campaign will just run itself whenever I schedule it. You schedule a campaign near the end of the process, so we can come back to that. In this instance, just to show you how the functionality works, I'm just going to do a 10-day campaign. If my campaign is marketing based, I have to have this marketing ticked. So I'm going to leave that one as. And then in the second half of the screen here, you'll see that I've got an option for has follow-up task. What this will do is for every email the system sends, it will also create a manual follow-up task within the task list for members of staff to pick up. So an example of that where you may want to use it is if I'm doing a campaign that's going out to people who haven't been to my gym for 60 days and I want to send them an email and I want a member of staff to call them up afterwards after they've received that email. I can tick here, fill these bits and pieces out, and then it will lay in a manual task for my team as well. I'm not going to worry about that for my example, so I'm just going to leave that one unticked. So once I'm happy with all that information, I can click on next, and then the system asks me to pick my query. So in everyone's system, when it's set up by your Easy Runner project manager, they have this generic campaign here, just called Campaign Rocket Member Search. This allows me to filter who I want to see later on in the process. What you will see, and it's worth speaking to the support team about this if you think you're missing something, is that we can build specific campaigns as well here. So for example, you may have one where it's children with a birthday this month, or everyone who hasn't been in 60 days. They can be laid in here, and it basically allows you to skip through the process a little bit quicker. But as you get used to the Campaign Manager module, that will become more relevant for you. So I click on next, and then it asks me to refine my audience. So if I want to send this to everybody in the system, I can just click on preview, and you can see here I've got 593 people with an email address in my system, and if I'm happy with that, I can then move forward in the steps. But what I can also do at this stage, I can filter it down. So I may only want to send it to people who have a certain membership profile, for example, and if that's the case, I can click on membership profile, click on add field, and then I could select whichever kind of memberships I want. So I could say, okay, I only want to send this to adult members. I could hit preview. That takes me down from 500 plus down to 102. What I can also do here, I can maybe choose another option as well. So I could say, okay, I only want to also send it to people who are over a certain age. So I could say age greater than 35. Hit preview. And again, that filters me down. So the Easy Runner module, Campaign Manager module, can really be used to email everyone in my system, or just a specific group. So another example where I could filter that, I'm just going to remove the age by clicking age there. I may also want to say, okay, I'm only interested in people who have come and made a particular booking. So on my options here, I could say, okay, bookable entity, add fields, and I could say, okay, only people who have been to the fun time parties with a guest of 10 to 17. Now when you look at this in your system, you'll only see your bookings, so it'll all be very specific to you. I'm going to keep my campaign quite simple, so I'm going to say, okay, let's email all our members, so 102 people. I can then click next, and I can set my goal. So if I'm doing a newsletter campaign, I don't really have a goal. I just want to I want to communicate to all the people in my database, so I could select none. But what you can do in Campaign Manager is you can then do follow-up emails. So I could say, okay, I'm emailing people who about a particular promotion that I'm offering. So I could say, made a booking, and then I could say, okay, my goal is to get people to come in and book in to a fun time party. So I could select those there. I can select as many or as little as I want. So if I wanted just someone to come in and make a booking in my system, I could hit select all. And if I click on something I shouldn't, I can also hit select none, and it'll start the process again for me. So we'll leave our goal like that. So we'll say, I tell you what, I'm actually going to remove my goal. So I'm going to have this set as none, but that's how the made booking works. So I click on none, click next, and the final step in my process really is just to send out my communication. So I click on the add button up here, and the first thing it needs me to do is give me a name. So I'm going to say newsletter August. The name doesn't really matter, that's internal, so only you'll ever be able to see that. The next field you see there is message subject, and that is important. This is what the client will see when they receive that email. So in this one, I'm going to say, what am I going to call it? I'm going to call it Great Offers This Month. So again, just need to remember that this is what the client will see. I then choose when I want my email to go. So send on day 1, and I could say, okay, 10 o'clock in the morning. Now day 1 is the first day that I run my campaign. So in the final step, which we'll move to in a second, I say when I want my campaign to run. So if I want my campaign to run on Monday, I will schedule it for the 7th, and day 1 will be the 7th. Or I may want to schedule it to run in September, in which case Friday the 1st of September would be day 1. So I choose 10 AM, and this is my first message, so I say yes. That blanks out these two. I'll come back to those fields in a second. I can then choose if I want to send an email text only, or a text message. Now, what you need to check with the EasyRun support team is if you want to do a text message, you just need to make sure that you have a text message account set up. And if you phone in, the guys will be able to help you there. So I'm going to stick with doing an email, and then I choose my template. So I'm going to hit newsletter there. Now we do have a separate video on how you create emails. You'll see that on the website. What I can do if I wanted to, I could hit create or edit there, and it would let me modify my email before we send it. I'm happy with that, so I press OK. If this was just a newsletter and I wanted to send this campaign out, I could then hit next, schedule it, and then we'd be done. But going back to our goal and sending out a campaign over a certain date range, what I could also do here now, I could click add, and I could say, okay, second email in my name, and in my message subject, I could say thank you for booking. And I could say, okay, I want to send this on day 5 of my campaign, and let's choose to send this at 10 o'clock again. This wouldn't be my first message, so I'd leave that ticked. And because I'm responding to people who have met my goal, so again, going back to the stage where I could say select a goal, made a booking, I would say, okay, only send that to people who have made that booking. If I wanted to, I could say, okay, because these people have made a booking, I'll send them a text message instead. So I send my text, and I can do select my text message from my template and press OK. What I could also do here is I could also say, okay, I could click add again, and I could say third email, and I could say, don't forget our great offer. And again, I could send this on day 5 if I wanted to, or I can maybe send this on day 7 a little bit later. Again, I can choose the time that I want that to send. And I could say only send it to people who haven't met my goal, so people who haven't come in and made those particular bookings. And again, I could choose, I may have a different template for this email, but I could just choose it from the template there and press OK. Once I'm happy with that, I can then press next, and I get given a few options. So if I wanted to come back to this campaign a little bit later to finish it off, maybe make a few changes, I could click on Run Later. If I wanted this campaign to run immediately, I can choose Run Immediately. Or what I can do is I can set a custom date and time. So I could say here, okay, let's send this one out on the 7th, and going back to my original time where I selected 10 o'clock, I would select 10 o'clock here as well for my first email. I do also have an option to repeat a campaign. So again, if I wanted to send out a birthday reminder, or I wanted to send a thank you for joining kind of email, maybe I want those to run every day, I could select daily, and what the system will do is at 10 o'clock each morning it will schedule itself in to send that campaign again. Now what it does, of course, is it reruns the query, so to meet my parameters. So you're not necessarily sending it to just the same group of people all the time. As that group expands, I'll be sending it to more people, or as it drops down, I'll be sending it to less people. Once I'm happy with that, I'm just going to choose no repeat. I'll just do the one email. I just click next. The system gives me a final, just little summary there to say, okay, I'm going to email these 102 people, and these are the emails that I'm going to send, and my campaign's going to last 10 days. Once I'm happy with all that, I just hit finish. The system then confirms that it scheduled that campaign for me, and then on that I just press OK. My campaign is then ready to go. And that's the end of the training video.